Hey everybody, welcome back to another film of the week. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Excuse me, my hair is all messed up. Just got back from the beach, and I know that you guys mention my hair a lot because I read the comments. So excuse me if you notice if my hair gets all just crazy. It's just because sometimes when I record, I literally wake up. So there's times where I just come from the beach. So just excuse me if you notice my hair is just in a craze, but we're back for another film of the week, and I actually did record this earlier, but I wasn't happy with how it came out, so I'm going to attempt to do this again, and hopefully a little more condensed thoughts on it, because I really don't have much to say other than praise for what I'm about to talk about. That film that we're going to be talking about today is Saving Private Ryan, which was directed by Steven Spielberg, the great Steven Spielberg, and released in 1998, I want to say. So a few years, I believe, after Schindler's List, which is another terrific piece from Spielberg, probably his most mature, piece in his filmography. This being another one, but to lay it out properly, this is set in World War II, and this stars Tom Hanks as Captain Miller, as well as a couple of other notable people. Notably speaking, Vin Diesel, and along the way they meet a couple of other players, Paul Giamatti, Nathan Fillion, which I found in revisiting the film, and the film opens with them on Omaha Beach, I believe. So excuse me, my history is I'm not extremely familiar with history, but I believe it's Omaha Beach of D-Day, and the opening sequence, is, just been described by many as extremely visceral, and by many veterans as extremely authentic, and it absolutely is. All those things are just right on the money, especially with its level of disturbance and visceral nature. It is a very, very hard sequence to swallow, and just a very famous sequence in cinema. But after that, after they storm through Omaha Beach, and the film, gives us that perspective. We inherit that POV as an audience member, not necessarily taking in a character's point of view, but in just the circumstance itself we are taking in. And after we swallow that, we then centralize ourselves with this group, led by Tom Hanks, who plays Captain Miller, who has been quite through a bit. There's a thing about his character where his hands are always shaking, and he always has this long stare, about his character every time that he's either engaging with someone or not with someone. It appears that he is always has this 9-yard, or that phrase, that 9-yard stare or whatever like that. Been through a lot, and he is tasked by the higher ups, by the government, to save a person named I forget his first name, my apologies, but as the film suggests, a man named Ryan, who we come to find out is played by Matt Damon. Reason for his returning of home is that his 3 brothers, who also serve, have all died in combat, and they wish for him to come home to his family. The government wishing to have Matt Damon return home to his family, and they ask Tom Hanks and his group to embark through the battle to try to find and save Private Ryan. So Saving Private Ryan, of course, has been hailed as just a classic in the genre of war, and also just generally speaking has been hailed as one of the greatest films ever made, which is very, very bold statements. And it's there's a lot that people say about the film, and obviously I can say a lot about it as well, but to preface, I actually have not seen the film in its entirety from start to finish for many, many years, but I did revisit a big chunk of it online. There was a 4K resolution that someone did online, and there was almost the entire film. It was done in that format. So I just kind of piecemealed to refresh my memory on things. But I have a very, very strong memory of Saving Private Ryan once I revisited scenes. So, but just to preface that, just so that if I get any little details fuzzy, it's just because I haven't watched the film entirely in many, many years. But to say that the film is magnificent, I believe, is just totally, absolutely on the money, because the thing that is truly astonishing about Saving Private Ryan, I don't believe is in its ensemble. I mean, performances are very, very good. I mean, Tom Hanks being the national treasure that he is, and the other players involved, Matt Damon, and even Vin Diesel, they all do a good job. They do all commendable and very engaging work. But I think specifically Tom Hanks, I think he does a very good job. I love the blank nature of his expression, and I think that it actually provides a lot of insight to that character and what he is dealing with, and ultimately how much weight he's been taking on throughout his experience as a soldier. And I think it's very, very informative. And you get, there's a great scene, I believe it's like halfway through, where all the characters are, it's like a resting point for the narrative, and you see all these characters start to interact with one another and really express themselves, and to kind of peel the layers of their, or kind of start to open the gates into the real identities of these individuals. And with Tom Hanks especially, you see that those doors start to open just a little bit, but as soon as they open a little too wide, then he shuts them down completely, because in his position as the leader, he cannot show too much vulnerability, because he doesn't want, in his circumstance, as he kind of lays it out to his men, it's that we have, you guys can talk to me, but I talk to my superiors. I don't talk to you guys. There's a chain of command, and then there's a specific taming, or a temperament, I guess, of the emotions that is established, and what the movie does present largely is about of course, morality. What it is they're doing this for. Is it for themselves? Is it for them? Is it for honor? Is it for heroism? I mean, what is the point in Saving Private Ryan? That is kind of the central thesis of the film. But the other part of that question, or the other point that it wishes to address, is about humanity and of the flaw in that. And I think that that's what also was really terrific about Saving Private Ryan, is that it doesn't portray these characters as, just indestructible beings, or, completely heroic, or completely, like they're in the right, they always know the right, they're doing the right thing, hoorah, hoorah. It's not that, that normal type patriotism that some people today frown upon, because it's just, very propaganda, and just doesn't give a organic or natural look at things. This doesn't go for that. It absolutely presents the flaws in these characters, and that they do sometimes make the wrong decisions, or they do sometimes lash out, and they don't think, critically, or, logically. There are moments in the film where you look at these characters, specifically, again, Tom Hanks' character, and you go, I think that you just snapped, and I don't think that is correct. And then they eventually have to rein themselves back in. So it's a film about flaws, and it's a film about, where those flaws also stem from, and the sympathy, the understanding, the full understanding as to why they are the way they are, and why they believe what they believe in their mission, and ultimately how in that the definition of a hero is led by the actions of what they do, and not necessarily what they say or what they think. Even if they themselves don't believe to be heroes, what they do is what kind of defines them in the film. So I think that thematically it is rich. I think that performances are great. I think that out of anything, really, what I take the most from the film is this tone, which I think is tremendous and enormous in terms of the range of emotions. Because on one level, obviously, it is extremely bleak, especially in that opening sequence. It's a very bleak and grim setting. But there's that spirit of Spielberg that's also embedded underneath, where once you let this tone settle, especially once you get past that opening sequence and the tone starts to expand or to kind of stretch out, I guess you could say, you get that taste of Spielberg underneath, the usual charm that you get in traditional Spielberg films, stuff like Close Encounters or Raiders. You get that as the underbelly. On the surface, obviously, it is bleak and very grim, but underneath, on the next layer, it is that of the Spielberg that we all come to know, that we all know and love. So, and I think that it balances it out really, really well, because if it was to be as grim, just all grim and all bleak, I mean, it wouldn't it wouldn't be an issue, honestly, but it is rather more digestible to have a balance in said tone, and it's very, very much welcomed in the general craftsmanship, how everything is made. It's not an issue. It's something that actually adds more to the overall investment and enjoyment and engagement. But my one issue that I would take of the film, it's a very specific point. It's more or less a question, is about those performances again. I mean, like I said, I think that they are very good. My one question of my opinion of those performances would be their relation to the filmmaking. Is in that I ask myself, are those performances good because the filmmaking is good, or are those performances good because they are actually good on their own? If you were to remove Spielberg and what he is doing with the tone, and also by aesthetic, I mean visually, that's very, very good. I like the grading. I love how it's muted, but it has a particular characteristic to it as well. So I think that it's very aesthetically interesting as well. I love some of the open field shots and just the wides. It looks just really, really nice, and the sets in general also are really terrific. But my question of those performances are that, do they work on their own, or are they elevated to some extent by Spielberg's filmmaking? Because a lot of the time when I'm watching those performances, I'm also taking into account how great this tone is, and ultimately what it is doing for those characters and giving them more depth and more meat. So I wonder, if you were to detach that, do those performances still work? Do those performances still have depth and resonance and all that? And to some extent they do, but I question whether it is fully of the strength of Tom Hanks and Party, or is it to do also with what Spielberg's doing? So it's just a question, but it's really, I mean, that's the only real thing I can take an issue with, because other than that, I mean, it is terrific. It is, I mean, the battle sequences are dirty and rough, of course, very graphic, but it has that view on humanity. Like I said, about the inherent flaws with humanity, not displaying humanity as perfection, as does like propaganda and stuff like that. It is looking at it with a very real and very authentic look that I think is very that works so, and this tone as well, like I said, just crafting in all these emotions, and not just, because usually in film they usually like to push it in one type of way and not have an underbelly, or do kind of let its tone flourish. In this it does, and you get so much. I mean, there's points where you're tense, where you cry, where you laugh, where you feel like you can breathe, and there's times where you feel that you are being almost like you're kind of gasping for air. It's very, very remarkable, what he was able to achieve in that. But I think that it, by just the many people who have seen the film, veterans, it's been highly recommended by many people who have been involved in the military and in any big wars. And to those people, obviously, I salute them and thank you for your service. But yeah, it is absolutely remarkable, and one of Spielberg's most mature outings as a filmmaker. Obviously, his most mature outings definitely still is Schindler's List, because Schindler's List is without Spielberg's spirit. It is without Spielberg's spirit. This still retains some of that spirit that Spielberg has, in terms of the charm that comes along with his filmmaking. The Schindler's List is without that, and Schindler's List, I would say, is better to some extent because of the removal, and also, again, we're addressing also different subjects. One of them is about like the Holocaust, where the other is about World War II. The very different historical events. Not to say that one is more important than the other, but it's to say that they can't be approached the same. So, but as it is with what Saving Private Ryan is, it is marvelous. It is terrific, and it is moving. It is powerful. It's many, many, many things, and you feel in so many ways. And that really is the power of Saving Private Ryan. Is it is all led by a feeling. It's not led by just aesthetic or led by a performance. It is led purely by a feeling. And that feeling always is wow. Just wow. And the many angles emotionally within that tone as well. There's just so much to the film, and I think that it is really, really a remarkable achievement, and definitely one of Spielberg's best when it comes to his filmography. So, and in terms of the genre of war, definitely one of, if not the best. So there's my thoughts on Saving Private Ryan. Absolutely love it. I think it's great. There's many great pieces in the genre of war. Paths of Glory definitely comes to mind, and that's I think that's more or less to do with the thematic study, but this has a lot to do with the tone, about how you feel about watching Saving Private Ryan. With Paths of Glory, it's a lot to do with what the film is saying. With what's Saving Private Ryan, it's a lot to do with what the film is, how the film feels. So it's very different things. I don't know honestly where I fall into in that regard, but Saving Private Ryan on its own is just great, just really, really great. So, but that's going to be it for my thoughts on Saving Private Ryan. You guys let me know your thoughts on Saving Private Ryan if you guys have seen it. If you haven't, it is just amazing. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. It's on Amazon Prime right now, actually, so if you want to check it out, check it out. Or like I said, on YouTube, there's that 4K resolution that's out there, so if you want to just piecemeal it, because it pretty much is the entire film, so if you want to piecemeal it, just look up the 4K resolution on YouTube. But let me know your thoughts on Saving Private Ryan, if you guys have seen it, and of course Spielberg in general, your favorite pieces from Spielberg, mine obviously being Raiders. But you guys know all your thoughts, Spielberg, and historical films as well, in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.